Welcome back to a new episode of Summit Tesla. How's everybody doing? I hope you guys are all doing great. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. Please watch this video and consider subscribing if, well, you like what I say. If it's not your first time, that means you're a returning visitor, so I truly appreciate you coming back. Today's video has to do with something that, well, battery life. I see this all the time. There are comments after comments after comments with people talking about I charged up my car. I looked at how many miles or kilometers I have left. I'm worried about degradation. I thought I'm supposed to have this much. The car is showing me this much. Well, the problem is that's a silly method to do that. And the key reason for that is because you're currently, as you're driving your vehicle, even if you charge up to 100%, what it tells you, when it tells you this is how many miles you have left over, that is based on an average. It is based on your previous 50, 100, well, anywhere from 50 to 100 miles of driving. So if you've driven really like a, grandma and grandpa, you've done really well, you've driven perfectly, you haven't used the AC, you haven't used heat, you haven't used really anything, you just simply drove, you're gonna the car's gonna show that you actually have more range than what you're even supposed to have. But most people don't do that. Most people drive their vehicles as, well, as it was intended. They drive their vehicles constantly as, for fun, and they enjoy their cars, and it's their daily routine. But in that daily routine, you have a lot of things involved in that. Sometimes you have your moments where you play with the car. You give it a little acceleration and bam, she takes off. But you see, all of this affects your total energy available, but it also affects your average. So when you go to the charger after driving like that for the last 100 miles, when you go to the charger and you charge the vehicle up to 100%, now you're looking at how many miles you have. But that's not the true miles you have. That's an average. It's based on a system of, well, it's based on how you drove. The car basically thinks of it in a sense of saying, well, based on your driving style, this is how much I predict you're gonna have left. That's not a good way to judge how much battery you have. Now, to put that in perspective, I gave this theory a test, and here's what I ended up with. I drove the car like I normally do, and my car showed like crazy degradation. I lost so many kilometers on my, I'm Canadian, so I say kilometers, all right? I lost so much range on my battery. I was looking at it and I'm saying, well, wait a second, I'm supposed to have this much. I have like 30% less. That's not possible. Mind you, I drove the car like a total idiot. I loved it. I was showing it off to some people. I definitely spent a lot more time on the pedal than off the pedal. Very little, if any, regen. So when I checked that, naturally I would think that I'm here, my battery, something's wrong with my battery. Well, sure enough, it wasn't. Overall, I still got a great range out of my car, no problem. But then I went back and tested the car again. This time I drove for a good 7-8 days. I drove very nicely. I kept everything in check. I controlled my how I'm driving. I was very consistent with my speed. My pedal control was very consistent. I just drove the car like a normal human being. And wouldn't you know it, after 8 days of doing that, 7 or 8 days, I can't remember what it was, but I think it was 8 days. After 8 days of doing that, when I went back and charged the car up to 100%, I had more range showing than what I'm supposed to have, what my car was even rated for. That means the way I was driving and my method, the way I was behaving with the car figured out that I'm actually driving better than, well, what it's rated for, if that makes any sense. So I highly encourage a lot of you out there who are looking at trying to get the best possible range, or trying to come to get your proper range. Don't worry so much about it. If you're truly worried about your battery and you truly want to know what the health, your battery health is, all you really have to do is book a service, get Tesla to do a health check on your battery. That's one of the best ways to do it. However, my way, the cheapest way, drive like a normal human being. 1 week. I'm not joking about it. 1 week. I know that's hard to do in a Tesla, but it's free. Drive the car like a normal human being. Simple, nice, don't floor it, relax your foot. Do that for about a week. Go charge up your car to 100%, and all of a sudden you'll see that so-called degradation, well, it doesn't exist. It's not there. The truth is, in the first year, the amount of people that complain about this, especially in the first year, is ridiculous. And there's a number of people who I've seen that are showing massive degradation, anywhere from 5 to 10%. I did follow up with a number of people who showed me that in the first year, and were saying, oh my God, my battery must be faulty and this and that. And that complaint really showed up. That anxiety and everything else. And I told them it doesn't sound right. It doesn't look right to me. So I told them to try this method. I told them, take your time and just kind of look at, driving normal, and let's do the test again. And sure enough, there was no battery degradation. In many of the cases, by doing this method, they actually ended up with the car showing more range than they're supposed to have. They're, more than what Tesla said they would have. And then they're surprised. I'm not surprised. It literally comes down to how you drive. When you charge your vehicle up to 100%, just to see this, just to get an idea of how your battery health is, keep in mind that that's based on the average of how you've been driving. The cars, when the car tells you how much, how much you should have left in range, after 3 years of doing these tests, I consistently come back to the same thing. The car will always average it out. It will kind of tell you based on your driving record, on your driving history, what you should have left. And it makes sense. And the key reason it makes sense is because if it consistently just gives you what the battery is, it might end up being severely inaccurate if the car already gets the information from you, saying, hey, I'm driving like a douchebag. I'm basically just flooring it all the time. The car is not going to say, well, you still have this many miles, because the car already knows. The computer understands that, listen, based on your driving history, you're not going to get that. You're not going to even come close to that. And, well, that's what they do. They let you know. They tell you. So don't stress. Chill out. Relax. And more than anything, take it easy. You don't need to stress out about this stuff. All you have to do is take it easy. Nothing more. Once you do that, once you chill out a little bit, you'll be fine. That all being said, if you have any questions or you want to know a little bit more about the methods that I use, please leave me a comment, let me know, and I'll try and answer any questions you may have. I think overall it's a pretty self-explanatory thing, but I know a lot of people are concerned about these things and are overly cautious when it comes to Teslas and their and range. And you hear a lot of things being talked about when it comes to especially when it comes to battery degradation. There's a lot of videos out there talking about battery degradation, and it's not what you think it is. It's not as bad as you might think it is. In fact, there's nothing horrible about it. The degradation of these batteries are not as bad as everybody thinks they are. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I know there could be faulty batteries, of course, but I wouldn't worry about it. Drive it for 6 months, get a feel for it. You have to remember you're under warranty. You don't have to worry about it right off the bat. Drive it for about 6 months. You're really worried, take about a week, drive it slow, not slow, but drive it normal. Because Tesla owners, I don't care who you are, and if you're being honest to yourself, as a Tesla owner, you don't drive these cars normally. Rarely do I see anybody driving these cars normally. You like the power, you like the acceleration, you like what the car gives you, and because of that, you push the car, and that brings down your average. That's really all it comes down to. Thank you so much for watching. If this video was useful to you at all, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I truly would appreciate it. And that being said, I'll catch you on the next video.